Welcome to Greg Hansen's Video Notebook. I'm Star Sports Editor Ryan Finley here with Greg Hansen. Greg, the laws of the Heisman Trophy prevent us from mentioning who we're going to vote for before we vote for it. And you, as the state chairman of the Heisman Trophy Trust, I will not ask you who you are voting for, but I will ask you where Khalil Tate figures in your voting process, if he figures at all.
You vote for three guys, and come on, even being a homer, you can't vote for Khalil Tate. He had 5 games. 5. They played 12.
Right.
You can't put him on.
If he did not exit the ASU game before halftime, if he stayed in, handed the ball off a bunch in the second half, and they won, would he be on your list?
No, because he had to respond at Oregon, and he didn't. To me, that was the swing game. And then ASU was the game that came down your throat. But I thought he needed to respond at Oregon, and that was his worst game.
Right. So much of that position, especially when you're a mobile quarterback, health is such an issue. I mean, this could be the story of Khalil Tate's career going forward. He's good for stretches and then gets hurt. It certainly has been sort of the MO for a lot of Rich Rodriguez quarterbacks. So you're bound to get hurt running as much as you do.
You mean 26 carries against USC was too much?
Possibly.
I think he could have played in the second half. I think the team doctor said you're fine, but it just depended on his threshold, and the threshold was probably too high for him.
Well, and you know, that's when you're reminded, too, he is barely 19 years old. I mean, this guy is not Superman, although he looked like it for a month. To me, it's very interesting because Khalil Tate's availability going forward, if he is indeed fine to play in the bowl game, sets up a nice bowl matchup somewhere.
How much can you say about how Khalil's come along since the Arizona State game, injury-wise?
Well, he's fine. Yeah, it was a sprain, and we had a couple other guys banged up in that game, and I don't know the whole, what the medical prognosis is for some of those guys that were out, but most of them that were out of the game with minor injuries should be back hopefully for this game.
So you would expect Khalil to be available?
Yeah, he'll be good to go.
It's an extremely important game too. If you go up there and lose again,
right,
and you're 7-6 after you were 7-2,
right,
or 6-2,
right,
suddenly people aren't very happy with you.
You know, it's important to them, and I think it's important to our seniors, most especially, that they try to have we've had 2 bad losses and the end of the season, and losses that we didn't have a good taste in our mouth, and we got a chance to try to change that in the bowl game.
I'm telling you, a matchup with Boise State in Las Vegas, a rematch of the Fiesta Bowl that kind of kicked off this whole downturn, to me would be poetic, if nothing else.
That's a good way to put it, yep.
And if Khalil Tate were healthy, I think it'd be a fun game to watch.
Only if he's healthy.
Right.
If not, my golf clubs are ready to be used that day.
That'll do it for this episode of Greg Hansen's Video Notebook. For Greg Hansen, Greg, what does Khalil Tate need to do to be in the Heisman conversation next year?
I think just stay healthy. Because Arizona doesn't play Stanford or Washington again.
Right.
Lucky.
Right.
So, I mean, the course is available for him to ace it.
Right. They've already got the website built, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just got to update the stats. I'm Ryan Finley. We'll see you next time.